All right. You're gonna have to unmute yourself, Lawrence, and then we're ready to go.
Hey, well, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, the 16th, and obviously we have to put it in our minds and our tattooed in our brains. The slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We shall persevere until we succeed. Or it is in our destiny if we quit. It's your choice, whether we fail or we quit at whatever we do in life. So today, Dan and I were going to chat a little bit about our legacy. So I have a few questions, for us to think about. First of all, why are you doing this business? What is your legacy? We always talk about, who you are and so on, but we also should ask why you are who you are. Why are you who you are? Because we always have, the same sort of questions, who are you and what have you, but why are you like you are? And why do we do what we do? What is a legacy? How important is it for you? And we've got a few little sort of titles or headings that we can look at, like, immortality and impact and family, posterity. We can discuss all of these things. But the first thing was, well, what is your legacy? Why is it? And is it important? Do you even have a legacy? Because I remember I gave a talk 20 years ago, and I started off by saying, write your epitaph. And somebody said, "Oh my God, how macabre is that? That's a terrible thing to do." I said, "No, it's not. It's a summation of your life. How do you want to be remembered? That's a legacy. It's not just about money, it's about who you are, how you've lived, what you've done, what you leave, how you've impacted people. All of these have to do with your legacy." So I thought I'd just start with asking those questions. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, your legacy is ultimately the sum of the personal values, the accomplishments, and the actions that really resonate with the people around you. It's how you made a difference in the world. Whether that's building a Fortune 500 company or putting a smile on people's faces on a daily basis. And really legacy comes down to, how do you leave a legacy? That comes down to purpose. And what's your purpose? Discovering that purpose, understanding what your purpose is going to determine what your legacy is. And so, you ultimately want to be remembered for your values, right? Um, so when you start thinking about what your values are, start writing them down. Do you want to be remembered for hard work? Do you want to be remembered for your vision? Do you want to be remembered for altruism? By writing down these core values, it's going to enable you to pinpoint what will make you most fulfilled, what your purpose in life is, and then you can take that and build your legacy around it. I had a goal when I was very young to um, to make enough money that when I was in my mid 40s, I could start doing things to help other people. Not that my job that I had in medical device sales wasn't helping people, but I wanted to be more philanthropic, right? I wanted to be able to volunteer more. I wanted to be able to impact the world in a positive way, and then I found this business that enable us to impact people financially and through their health. And so it kind of, I found this opportunity that married up with my values and what I wanted my legacy to be.
Well, you see, there's the thing. That's when I ask, why are you doing this business, and what is your legacy? And then the other question that I asked is, um, the first thing I asked was, why are you who we always say, who are you? But then when they say, why are you who you are? So, for example, Dan's just talking about having joined the company before to make money and so on. But then he progressed from that. But then you look at back and you say, okay, he was one of 10 or 11 kids. And how much of an influence was his father? Who else had an influence on his life? Did that impact who Dan is today? So when we say, who are you? We say, why are you who you are? So we now have ethics and values and principles, hopefully, which we've learned from somebody, either because somebody didn't have any or somebody taught us to have some. So, all of these are, I think, really good philosophical questions to ask ourselves, and and why we do things, and about this legacy thing. This is a willable, saleable asset, but it's not just about money. We've invested a lot of our lives in who we are, and hopefully some of those lessons that we've learned, we can impart with people to help them on their journey. So, excuse me. So the thing is, how do you want to be remembered? Is it an ego thing that you want to think, oh, I want people to think I was wonderful or I was great? Or is it something that you've just done because you are you and you've led your life in a way that you would admire yourself? Are you happy with the way you're leading your lives? Are we satisfied with what we're doing? Are we satisfied with how we're living, with what we're doing, with the examples we set? Are our values right? Do we have any values? All of these are introspective questions, which I think become important. And they become important because if we are to be leaders, which we are, all of us, every single person on this call is a leader because he's an entrepreneur. And because we also can be leading our families, we can be leading other things as well. But so these are important questions to ask. Are we fulfilling our lives? Are we feeling really fulfilled with what we're doing?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have three people in my life that really influenced me and passed along their values or lack of values onto me.
There
Lawrence
you go.
brought up, how did my father impact me? A family of 10, 9 boys and one girl, we didn't have a lot. And unfortunately, my parents got divorced when I was young, and my dad took off and didn't pay any child support or alimony. So my mom had to work 3 jobs to support us, and she was never there. You know, what that taught me was, number one, I had this father that that I felt didn't care about us enough to help support the family. So, I made one of my values that if I was ever in that situation, I would never do that. So that impacted me. Even though it was a negative, I took a positive from it. Number two, my mother, through you know sh leading by example or showing us by example that hard work pays off and allows you to support the people that you love. And ultimately now, she volunteers. She's almost 90 and she's still volunteering. Her hard work gave me that work ethic, and I've had these conversations with her. And what's funny is she doesn't think that impacted us, you know. But what she does say is that the three youngest children, who really we grew up without a father, ended up being very, very successful compared to our older siblings that had both parents around, which is interesting. The third person that I had in my life was my sister's husband. They're now divorced. But he was one of the most caring, giving people I've ever met. And he cared for and gave our family a lot. And, he left me that legacy that, I'm paying it forward now in a lot of different ways that I might not have if he had not been in my life and didn't set a good example and that those values and that legacy. So you don't need 1,000 positive, impactful people in your life. You just need one or two. And the same thing goes with friends. You don't have to have 1,000 friends. That's for Facebook, right? You have these 1,000 people that you hardly even know any of them. You just need to have one or two people in the corner, um, and they're going to be instrumental in helping you achieve those things that you want to achieve in life. And hopefully, they're people that have similar values or values that you want to incorporate into your life, and they rub off on you.
You know, when you're talking about positive or negative influence, there was a long time ago, there was a mayor of New York, of Miami, who was a very upstanding citizen, and he was a leader of the society. And they interviewed him, and they said, you know, why are you such an upstanding guy? You know, why have you got such a higher regard from everybody? And he said, well, you know, my dad's an alcoholic. I mean, with a dad like that, what do you expect? And they asked his brother why he was an alcoholic. And he said, well, with a dad like that, what you can expect. So our perception of our teachers, or at least the lessons we learn from teachers can be from a positive person or a negative person. In Dad's case, his dad wasn't a tremendously positive influence on him, but he now, and from what was lacking in his life, he has now become a philanthropic person. He didn't think about that before. So, so I'm saying we evolve into being somebody that we'd like to be. So the question then becomes, are you who you would like to be? Or are you being who you are through necessity of where you are? In other words, we have choices of, of being nice, or we have choices of being a victim of the circumstances of stress and of being in a bad mood and of being, having problems. And so we focus on that. We don't think about what we would like to be like. How would you like to be? Are you kind? Are you considerate? Even though you're stressed, even though you've got a lot of problems, even though we all have, but some of us can choose to overcome those issues. So, are you who you would like to be? So, and the reason for the legacy, is it philanthropic? Is it something that is about money and it's because you didn't have and you want to give others? Is it about ego? Is it just because it makes you feel good that you might want to help other people? Just an ego thing? Or is it a genuine desire to help people? And it's not just money. It could be through kindness, to being empathetic, to spending time, which is the most precious thing we have. We forget about that. We always think about things in terms of money. Well, big deal. In the epitaph of somebody says, here lies the body of, whoever, and he was a bajillionaire. Well, who cares? What did he do? How did he help people? Did he help people? Did he need to? Did he want to? Did anybody learn from that? So everything we do, I think we should introspect and be better in ourselves in everything we do on a daily basis. Look in the mirror every morning and say, how can I be better than yesterday? What can I do better than I did yesterday? How can I help somebody? How can I do something that makes me a better person than I was yesterday? How can I increase my my when I say my worth, I don't mean worth in money. I don't care about the money. It's about the worth as a person. That's what counts. Your worth as a person. And when we look at the business we're in, wow, we can really make a difference, a positive difference to a lot of people who struggle. Because a lot of people struggle through the circumstances of where they are. And the circumstances, it's the same 1,440 hours a day everybody has in our bank account of time. 1,440 hours. Same for everybody. But some of us have learned to steer that time into how we would like it to be. Others are following in what they're told to do and how they have to lead their lives. And it's not the way that it should be. We should be able to steer our lives into how we want to be and to be who we want to be. One thing that I wrote down a whole lot of things because I'm going to be interviewed a little while about this legacy thing. But one of the things was my dad said, you are by the accident of birth, you are privileged. By an accident of birth, you're privileged. And for me, that was like a big deal. And I've never forgotten that because there are a lot of other people who have, by the accident of birth, absolutely not privileged. So then I feel, wow, can I live up to that privilege? Anyway, I'm rambling on, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, these calls are usually about mindset, right? And what does legacy have to do with mindset? It has everything to do with mindset. As Lawrence said, trying to be better today than I was yesterday. That's a mindset. That's a growth mindset, knowing that you have the possibility of being better today than you were yesterday. And, one of the ways that you can be better today than you were yesterday is by helping others. And when you help others, you're not only leaving a legacy with that person, you're also improving their life. And through that, you're improving your life. That's the thing, that's the cool thing about giving back to others or putting others first is through that mentality, through that mindset, it comes back full circle to you. Whether you want it to or not, it will. And so, I've been through this transformation and to to sum up that transformation, I found that being passionate about something creates contentment in your life. And I'm very passionate about veterans now. I came from the commercial side of healthcare, and we all know what the problems are in the commercial side of healthcare. But the problems within government-run healthcare through the VA medical system for our veterans is even worse, if you can believe it, because probably because it's government run. Um, and so I have this passion that's created this contentment in my life that I didn't have when I was just working towards making money and my ultimate goal of being able to help others and be philanthropic and all of these things. And you're really only able to give to others when you're content, and that comes from this passion. So when you start to ask, what does legacy mean? What you're really asking is how your passions meet a need in the world. Finding your passion and relating it back to your purpose and utilizing your innate skills and talents is a great recipe for leaving a legacy, right? So once you've done this work to discover your true passions and create this contentment in your life, it's going to significantly improve your life through helping others and being passionate about something and just being content and being happy no matter what happens in your life, in your day, in a minute, in a second.
Love that. The passion is something that we should do and be who we want to be and have peace of mind with who we are and love what we do, how we do it. And once we do have that passion for whatever we're doing, then the purpose for which ramifications can come from that. So, for example, if we're doing really well about something, like at something, then we can have a purpose, additional purpose, like Dan was medical device rep. I'm picking on you, Dan, because that's just the way we can do it.
Used to it. I'm used to it, Lawrence.
So Dan was a medical device rep. 27 years stuck in an office in an operating room, no windows, nothing, smelling all this chemicals and horrible stuff in there. And then in the last 5 years or 4 or 5, I guess, that he's done this business, he suddenly blossomed because he had time enough to to understand who he was and to find a passion now. And he looked at the vets. He didn't think about the vets while he was in the operating room. He was thinking about the guy's knees, whoever was being operated. And this is where I think we look from passion to purpose. And I think this is a big statement. And the reason why we do things, you know, people write biographies. Why? Why do they do that? Is it just to make money? Is it because they're famous and they want an ego trip? Or is it because they feel they might be able to influence other people in doing something worthwhile? Religious beliefs, the cultural beliefs, we have those too. Maybe they guided us. Maybe they were helpful. Maybe they weren't. But whatever the reason is, that's what the question we have. Why are you who you are? That's the question. And if you figure that out, then you have a base mark of knowing who you are, and then you can step upwards every day to being better every day, so that by the end of the week, the end of the day, end of the month, end of the year, you can look back and say, "Wow, I actually progressed. I became a better person." When you look at me and I say, "I'm a grumpy old man," oh, grumpy old white man. What? So just looking at me when I'm not smiling, I think, oh my God, you look like a grumpy old white man. Maybe I should go into politics. I'm nearly 80. I mean, I could do that at my age now. It'd be a good time. Joke. But I'm just saying that it's important to introspect all the time and to be aware of who we are, what we are, why we are, and how we act. Because somebody's watching. And if no one's watching, you watch yourself. Live by your values. You've got to have values, principles, ethics, morals. These are things that guide us. And these are values, principles that we got to live by. And that's the legacy that some of us may want to look to have.
Well, do you want to take some comments, Lawrence? We got 5 minutes left. I'd love to hear from some people that,
Good
that are
idea.
thinking about their legacy, about their passion, what makes them content, you know, how they've persisted from things that negative that happened to the mindset that they have today. Love to hear some comments.
Agreed. Good idea.
Yeah,
Anybody
this is
just
John. Oh, go ahead.
you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just think it's always about helping the patients because it's not just, it could be my family, it could be someone's, but it's going to be someone's family. And I remember I was kind of in a Dan's role with medical device and pharmaceutical sales. And one time this doctor says, "Hey, my mother's doing really well on your medication." And I said, "Remember, doctor, that next patient you see is someone's mother." And he was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And, it just like they had to think about it. But, I think it's always, legacy is not my goal. It's basically getting the most out of my talents. And the best compliment I got was after college and a athletic career. One of my teammates said, "You're the only guy I ever known that got 110% out of your talent because God gives you so much." And you're not everyone's not gifted, with the financial whereabouts or the just the whole communication talent and all that kind of stuff. But I just believe that, and I'll end it here, is just that you got to squeeze everything out of your talents, and then you'll help people because you've used everything that God gave you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great comments.
Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
John.
got an idea. So I spent 35 years in education, and one of the messages I repeated over and over again is you can take wherever you are and you can complain or you can make the best of it. And the only difference is whether you're happy or not, because the circumstances don't change.
Yeah. It's whether you're content, right? Whether you're happy. And then, and then you take that and combine it with the passion, and we can really help a lot of people. And I'm sure you know, as an in education, I'm sure Chuck, I mean, you're an amazing human being. I'm sure you helped a ton of children.
I'm not so sure I'm amazing. I'm just a normal guy, really.
Okay.
Well, you'll be remembered. See, it's how will you be remembered? That is your epitaph that you got to think about. And each day, your actions will determine how you'll be remembered. Simple.
Chuck, you're one of those guys that I feel like you probably get messages from, you know, teachers and students that say how much you impacted their life.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have found a few of those. Yeah. Yeah.
No doubt.
Excellent.
Anybody else?
One of my big purposes is to help people find their purpose because some people go through a day through a rut of routine without purpose. So, changing my vision is actually helping people find their purpose because some people don't even realize that it's like, you mean I can have purpose? And one of my big visions of legacy, as everybody knows, is I want to buy an island, but I want to leave it to the team so we have a mindset place to actually go and really truly teach people how to restructure their vision. So that's one of my big purposes of legacy, to leave something. So once I'm far beyond, the team that I want to build transcends time. There's always a place everyone can go to where you build a culture the where you can truly transform the world. So one of my big things in purchasing my island is leaving it to the team, so that even when I'm long gone, there's always a place they can go to renew their visions and dreams.
That's awesome.
Nice. Nice.
Love that.
Very nice. So, one of the questions that somebody's asking me says, "Are you proud of yourself?" Not Vince. I'm talking everybody. Are we proud of who we are? We've got to think about that. Or do we beat ourselves up? That's a question.
I just beat my upline up.
Another good question is, what's your X factor? You need to, your legacy is hard. It's hard to leave a legacy if you don't provide more value than anyone else. So we each have an X factor, and you need to discover your X factor. What do you have that no one else does? And then leverage that. Consider how to improve your legacy. Your talent, utilizing your talents. What can you do that's going to leave a lasting impression? Think about it. Think about that over the weekend.
Yeah.
All right, Lawrence, you want to wrap it up?
Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Dan, and Vince and Chuck, and anybody else. Thanks, everybody, for being on the call. I hope you get something out of it. Introspection. Be a better person every day, little by little. Compound effect. And I am perfect in my imperfection. So strive to be better every day. God bless everybody. Have a good weekend. And thanks for being on the call.
Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Have a good weekend.
Great call, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.